Welcome back. In previous lecture, we have seen one beautiful algorithm, and the algorithm was shortest job first algorithm. As a part of continuation, we are going to see one more algorithm today, and that algorithm is titled as priority algorithm. So, in continuation with this topic, so called as process management, we are discussing CPU scheduling algorithms. And first we saw first come first serve algorithm. Then in the previous lecture we saw SJF or SRTF, shortest remaining time first algorithm. What was so special about FCFS and then SJF? To be very precise, in FCFS, we were not bothered about priority. We never thought of priority. We were not bothered about the size, the burst size, how much time it requires for execution. We paid attention towards only the arrival. The first process arrived, whatever may be the burst size, whatever may be the priority, we are going to execute it. So, it focused entirely on the burst size. It focused entirely on the arrival. The first arrival process will be executed first. In SGF, what we saw? SGF, we saw two categories. The first category, we saw that we will see the arrival, we will pay attention towards arrival, and then we will select the process with minimum burst. So then we will check for the burst, that too minimum burst. And so once at that time arrived process, I have chosen a process with minimum burst, I'll finish execution of that process completely, then I'll go for the next minimum burst process. So this we did in case of non-primitive algorithm. And the second version that we saw was the primitive version, where we have paid attention towards the arrival, then we have selected a process with minimum burst, but we are open for more number of processes. That means if while executing a process with minimum burst, at certain time there is a process which has arrived with more smaller burst, then that higher, what I mean to say is, still minimum burst process is taken for execution. So if there is already one process executing and there arrives one more process with a burst lesser than currently executing process, then the process with lower burst is always taken up for execution. So the preemption is considered. So in the first part preemption was not considered, here preemption is considered. So to be precise, we have taken care of arrival and then we have taken care of burst, and minimum burst is given priority. So till this point, we have not discussed anything about the priority. Priority is not taken into consideration. But now we are moving ahead with the next algorithm where we are considering arrival, no doubt. We are considering burst, no doubt. But we are also considering the priority. And the name of the algorithm that we are going to study now is called as obviously a priority algorithm. So let's go ahead and study straight away one very nice example, and through example let us try to understand how exactly priority algorithm works. as we have seen that HAF or SRDF algorithm works in two ways. One is primitive and non-primitive ways. The same way, priority algorithm also works using two different styles. One is primitive and non-primitive. So we'll go with the easier one as usual, and we'll try to learn and understand non-primitive priority algorithm. Let us consider one example, okay, to understand the same. So I'll draw here the table so that we'll be able to, continue with the process. So here, consider 5 processes. Let's consider 5 processes. Okay, 5. So here, I'll consider 5 processes: P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. Okay. Second thing is arrival time and burst time. So let me compute right here arrival time and burst time, and this arrival time, burst time is given. Okay. So arrival time is maybe 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This is the way, this is the fashion in which processes have arrived. Okay. So burst time. So we have considered some burst. Okay, for every process in the system. So the additional thing that we need to consider in priority algorithm is, of course, very important thing. This is additional priority. So we are going to decide the priority of the processes which are arrived. So let's see the priorities that we assign now is just pay attention that there are processes, there is a process with low priority, there are processes with higher priority, okay. So here one more very important thing that we are supposed to note down, very important. Some examiner may say that higher the number, higher the priority, lower the number, lower is the priority. So we have to note this down, very, very important. Otherwise, we will be spoiling the game. In some examiners, from some examiners' point of view, lower the number, higher the priority. Higher the number, lower the priority. See, this is how we have to, this point is very important. We have to pay attention. So in this example, what we are doing, we are considering higher the number, higher the priority. So there are 5 processes. We can nicely see here process number 1, priority number is 2, whereas process number 4 and 5 both have priority 5. So bigger number means higher priority. We are considering bigger number as higher priority. This has to be taken care of very, very precisely. We should not forget this, because otherwise entire course of action will change. So now we are done. Our table is ready. So what is the procedure? The procedure is, given any problem statement, if you have to solve, if you have to compute CPU scheduling, given any algorithm, first thing is we have to calculate completion time. We have seen this in the previous lecture. So we have to calculate computation time. And to calculate computation time, we have to draw the Gantt chart. So first step, draw Gantt chart. Second, compute completion time. And once you get completion time, you go ahead with calculation of turnaround time and waiting time. And finally, you come up with average turnaround time and average waiting time. And that is how you end up. So now, let's go ahead and calculate the completion time. So we are supposed to calculate the completion time, then turnaround time, then waiting time. So to compute completion time, we will draw the Gantt chart. And while we are drawing a Gantt chart, always important thing is we should know which method we are following. Here we are following non-preemptive priority scheduling method. Non-preemptive means we understand. Once there is a process executing under CPU, CPU will not take up any other process. any other process, maybe of higher priority, maybe of lower burst. No. Once the process is assigned to CPU, CPU will completely execute it. There won't be any preemption happening. We have to take care of this categorically. So now considering this, we are going to move ahead. The algorithm is a priority algorithm. So now this is given, the table is given. So arrival time says that at 0th time, process P1 has arrived. No, there is no other process in the system, only P1 is there. So whatever is the burst, whatever is the priority, no, we don't have any choice. We have to take P1 for execution. So we'll start with P1, obviously. Now, non-preemptive algorithm, right? So P1 is taken up for execution. So P1 will be fully executed. So once P1 enters in the system, okay, P1 will be completely executed. Now once P1 enters in the system, P1 will be completely executed in the sense, what is the burst of P1? Burst of P1 is 4. Burst of P1 is 4. So we have started with 0. P1 is out of the system now. P1 is out of the system. See, till 4 units of time. See, once P1 completes execution, by the time P1 completes execution, it is the 4 unit of time is elapsed. So who all are arrived in the system? 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody is arrived. So P2, P3, P4. All processes are in the system now. Remember, non-preemptive but priority scheduling. And we have considered higher the number, higher is the priority. So if we will go by this analogy, we can see that out of 3, this is gone. This process is out of system now. So there are P2, P3, P4, P5. There are 4 processes remaining. They have arrived in the system. And out of these 4 processes, I can see process number 3, process number 4 and 5, they have got equal priority. Now there is a tie. Now what should I do? Once there is a tie among the priorities, okay, which process arrived first in the system? Obviously process P4. So now when there is a tie with respect to the priority, I will go ahead and I will check which process has arrived in the system, and accordingly, now here we can see P4 has arrived before P5. So I will obviously allow P4 to execute. So P4 goes in the system. What is the burst? Burst is 5. So P4 will complete execution. After P4, again P4 is out of the system. P4 is gone out of the system. Now the competition is between P2, P3 and P5. Higher the priority, higher the number, higher the priority. Accordingly, P5 is a process with highest priority at this stage. So I am taking P5 for execution. What is the burst of P5? So 9 plus 5. Sorry. What is the burst? P5 burst is 2. 9 plus 2, 11. See, when these things you need to take care of. Okay, suddenly you look here and there and misplace some number, and you end up calculating wrong turnaround and waiting time. So this categorically you need to pay attention towards. Okay, so now P5 is over. P5 is out of the system. P2 and P3 both are there in the system. P3 is having priority 3, P4 is having priority 4. Again, higher the number, higher is the priority. Obviously, P3 is taken into consideration. What is the burst of P3? Is 1. And finally, so P3 is out of the system. Finally, P2 goes out of the system. And once P2 goes out of the system, it is 15 unit of time elapsed. So we have computed, okay, the Gantt chart is ready. So we are ready to, note down the completion time for every process. So let's start. Process P1 ended at 4. Process P2 has ended at 15. Process P3 has ended at 12. Process P4 has ended at 9. Process P5 has ended at 11. So we are done with calculation of completion time. So now remaining is all formality. So as we have seen in the previous lecture, okay, as we have seen in the previous lecture, how we are going to calculate turnaround time? 4 minus 0, 15 minus 1, right? 12 minus 2, 9 minus 3, 11 minus 4. How we are going to compute waiting time? Waiting time is computed as 4 minus, see, waiting time will be calculated at turnaround time minus the burst time. So 4 minus 4, 14 minus 3, right? Then comes 10, 10 minus 1, 6 minus 5, 7 minus 2. Now what is left? Final two steps. Calculation of average turnaround time and average waiting time. So now 4 plus 14 plus 10 plus 6 plus 7 divided by 5. How much it comes out to be? 18, 28, 28 plus 6, 34 plus 7. So 8.2, wherein the average waiting time 0 plus 11 plus 9 plus 1 plus 5, how much it comes out to be? That's all. So we are done with computation of priority algorithm. We saw how priority is coming into play. But we have not considered preemption in this case. Let us solve the same example considering preemption. Let's see how to solve. Okay, here we are ready to go ahead with, preemptive priority algorithm solution. So first step, as usual, we have to calculate completion time, and to get completion time we have to draw the Gantt chart. So let's draw it once again. So now, again the same theory. At 0th unit time, T1 has arrived. There is no other process in the system. No way. I cannot compare. I cannot do anything. Only one process is there. So blindly I have to select T1. But what happens now? At 0th second I have chosen T1. But as the time has passed, at first unit of time, after 1 second say, okay, after 1 unit of time, I'll say, what I can see is there is one process P2 in the system. That is one process P2 in the system. And now we already considered that higher the number, higher is the priority. The priority of P1 was 2, now priority of P2 is 3. So I have to start P2, I have to preempt P1. But at second number 2, at second unit of time, I can very well note that process P3 also arrived with a priority higher than the priority of the process which is already there in the system. So again, P2 is swapped out, P3 is taken into execution. So now what is happening? Again, system moves ahead. So for my consideration, I'll consider this as 3 now. I'll consider this as 2 now. And now P3 is executed. So P3 is out of the system. P3 is completely executed. I am moving ahead. So when I move ahead from unit 3 time, I can see there is one more process arriving in the system. There is one more process arriving in the system. So process P4 with a higher priority. Process P5 is not there because process P5 arrives at the 4th unit time. Process P5 also has arrived. Process P5 also has arrived, right? So now I can see here this is 4 again, and this is already out of the system, right? So now there is a process P4, there is a process P5. P4 is already executing in the system. Okay. What will happen? Shall we consider P5 or shall we continue with P4? How much time is left? 4. I have already executed 1 unit. So, since both have got same priority, there is no point in going back and picking up P5. So, I will continue till P4 completely executes. P4 is out of the system now. P4 is out of the system now. P4 is out of the system. P4 is executed. Even the P1 is executed. Sorry, P3 is executed. So here 3 minus 1, 5. So now all the processes are available in the system, they are all arrived. Now it's time to check which process is having highest priority. So here onwards it will go on highest priority. So now obviously P5 is the one which with priority 5 is not yet executed, so P5 will be taken up for execution. So the time required for P5 to completely execute will be how much? What is the burst that is required? Burst required is 2, so obviously 10. So process 5 is out of the system, process 5 is gone. Remaining is process P1 and P2. Obviously 3 is having higher priority than 2. The burst remaining is 2, so it gets executed at 12. And finally P1 is left with remaining time 3. So at 15th unit, P1 completes its execution. So what we can actually see, the moment there is a higher priority process arrives, the lower priority process is preempted. Okay, and we are not bothered about the burst. In case if there is a tie, we go ahead with the arrival. We go ahead with the arrival time of the process. So in this case, we are ready with the Gantt chart now, and we can note down the completion time. The completion time given is, okay, for process P1 it is 15, for process P2 it is 12, for process P3 it is 3, for process P4 it is 8, for process P5 it is 10. And now since we know the completion time properly, we can definitely go ahead with the turnaround time. So what is the turnaround time as usually? 15 minus 0, 12 minus 1, 3 minus 2, 8 minus 3, 10 minus 4. And so far as waiting time is concerned, again 15 minus 4, 15 minus 4, 11 minus 3, 3 minus 1, 5 minus 5, 6 minus 2. Sorry, 1 minus 1. So here it comes out to be 0. So waiting time is computed as turnaround time, okay, minus burst time. Turnaround time minus burst time. Turnaround time minus burst time. So we got waiting time. So now the final step is we have to compute as usual average turnaround time, average waiting time, and that is the end. So what is the average turnaround time? 15 plus 11 plus 1 plus 5 plus 6 divided by 5. So how much it comes out to be? 26, 27, 27 plus 5, 38. Divided by 5. So somewhere 7.6 unit. Okay. This is average turnaround time, wherein average waiting time will be again 11 plus 8 plus 0 plus 0 plus 4 divided by 5. So 23 again somewhere 4.6 unit. So we saw how priority plays a very important role when it comes to a priority algorithm. One important thing again I will repeat, that we should always note that examiner sometimes may say that higher the number, higher the priority, and sometimes examiner may say that higher the number, lower the priority. Examiner say if the number is lowest, then highest priority. If the number is highest, then highest. So we have to note down these things, and accordingly we have to solve the problem. So friends, that is all in this lecture. We will move ahead with few more algorithms in next lectures. Thank you. Good day.